is very, very vast, is very, very in-depth, yes.
And some people haven't got forget the date of birth, but he have got the passport. But passport have a different date of birth.
Right. And especially with a lot of Asians, I mean,
yeah. But
you know, you're not sure exactly when you were
50%
born.
of Asian population in this country don't have a date of birth.
That's right.
Yeah, you always have a solution. You're using the Prashan Kundli. That is the answer to their question. That is the answer to their problem. Yes.
Is that I'm not familiar with that. Is that something like tea leaf reading or
no, not at all. Tea leaf reading.
If I
it's
needed
a part of Indian astrology. You don't need a date of birth.
But if you don't need your date of birth, I came to you. Say I didn't know when I was born. What do you need from me?
We
then?
just need at that particular time when you raise the question at that particular time, that date.
Okay.
We can find out what is the graphical representation at that particular time. We even tell you what you want to know before even you ask me the question.
Could you do that for me?
Yes.
Yeah, why not?
Do you need anything?
But at that particular time, I will tell you exactly at this particular time which is the rising sign. Where are the 9 different planets in the 12 houses? I can tell you there and then what is going on.
Sanyya?
Yes, Lawrence.
That would seem to be very much like the English horoscopes that we have in newspapers and magazines, even though it's more in-depth. You know, they can look at a situation on that particular day. I was relating more to the date of birth. Yes.
Right, specifically the date of birth.
But date of birth, if those people who don't have a date of birth, the answer is Prashan Kundli, yes.
Now, the thing which I find interesting in what Lawrence, is the work that he's doing is that Lawrence says and is the opinion that if you have a name that has not worked for you, that hasn't been good for you, you can resolve issues and problems that you're experiencing by simply changing your name. And he's worked with people that are in media and celebrities and has been able to quantify and measure how successful or unsuccessful they have been. So it leads me to believe that this question, are we in charge of our destiny, and what part does astrology, name, and past life have to do with it, it would lead me to believe that the most important thing in deciding who you're going to be and how successful you're going to be is the name that you have.
No, not at all. You can. Every Nanak is not a prophet, and every Muhammad is not a prophet, and every Prakash is not an astrologer, and every Ravi Bhushan is not a spiritual lecturer. Not at all.
No, but Lawrence, you're not saying that. You're not saying that everybody that has the name Sanyya is going to be the exact same person. Everybody's going to be hosting Broken Silence.
No, what I'm saying is that everybody with the name Sanyya will have a personality that is balanced, modified, or changed by their middle names, their last name, a married name. And again, it will be modified by their date of birth.
Lawrence, can you work with somebody if they weren't sure what their date of birth was?
Yes, all I need is an age. I don't even need a date of birth. I rarely ask my clients for that. I need their full legal name and their age. And from that, I work out all of the calculations. I can work out their personality, the letters that they're in, what those events indicate. Now, my clients then decide if they're happy with that, that's fantastic. If they're not and they want to make changes, I discuss what they want. I work out alternatives. We test this with a signature test. And where it turns out positive, if they're happy with that, then we legally change their name.
Now, we're talking about the significance in name, and for women especially, you know, when we get married, we take on our partner's names. Does that then, you know, change the course of your destiny?
Well, my answer to that is that every lady who marries in a system where they add on the gentleman's surname takes a major, major gamble. It's ladies who change on marriage, not men, no matter what the man promises. And the lady changes according to the gentleman's surname. The gentleman's surname contains personality, characteristics, virtues, vices, and health. And they can blend or clash with the lady's first names. In addition, the letters in the gentleman's surnames then indicate events. So positive letters in the gentleman's name will bring the lady positive events, where negative letters will bring the lady negative events.
Now, if you are in a negative letter, and you also follow law of attraction, and you are, you know, believe in spirituality, and you believe that you are a co-creator of your own reality, in a negative letter, will you then be able to see the fruition of your visualization or your, you know, your creative visualization? Will you actually see some positive effects of it?
If you're in a negative letter, then you will be experiencing negative events. It's very difficult to see anything positive from that. I've yet to come across a client who said, you know, I lost my job, my mother died, my husband's left me, my children are on drugs, they've been arrested, but I'm really glad I'm going through all this.
Right, okay.
You know, I can't see any benefit from negative events whatsoever.
Lawrence, thank you so much for joining us online. Prakash, thank you for being with us. Thank you, Panditji. We'll be back after this short break. Hi, welcome back to Broken Silence. I'm Sanyya Gardez. Today we're asking the question, are we really in charge of our destiny? Or does the time and date of our birth, our name, or who we were in our past life dictate who we will be in this one? Joining me on the phone is Lawrence Page, the UK's only name analyst, Prakash, who's a professional astrologer, and Pandit Ravi Bhushan. Now, we're just talking about the fact that name has in deciding how successful or unsuccessful, how lucky or unlucky we're going to be. And I think that we're not all agreeing on the fact that Lawrence is of the opinion that your name does decide how potentially successful you're going to be, how lucky you'll be in a relationship, and how fruitful you'll be in your life.
But name have to have a harmony with the date of birth. Date of birth can give you two numbers, psychic number and destiny number. Name have to have a harmony with the psychic number and the destiny number. And name have to have a harmony with your birth chart as well. Every name represents one particular number which represents a planet. If that planet is busted, doesn't matter what number name you keep on changing, it doesn't work. But end of the day, we have to find a name which is where that particular name must be related to your birth chart, which is the very highest in the birth chart, then it will give you a boost.
Now, Lawrence, you say there are certain letters that are luckier than other letters.
Well, I was going to say two things. First of all, I don't agree that the name chart is the highest. I think that the name and the date of birth are given equally on reincarnation, so they deserve equal significance. But I just wondered what the other members of the panel thought who worked with names, what the positive letters were.
Either one of you or anybody else, have you come across, do you believe there are certain letters that are lucky?
There are no positive letters, there are no negative letters. End of the day, certain planets in your chart are positive, certain planets in someone's chart are negative.
But which letters are positive? What do you regard as a positive letter?
There are no particular letters which are positive or negative. But end of the day, we have to find out how your date of birth is creating a harmony with particular name.
So you're saying there isn't,
There's no one letter we can say whole things revolve around that particular letter. I don't agree with that at all.
Panditji, you said that, you will take a letter and you'll say, okay, if a child is born, that you name this child with the first letter P for argument's sake.
For the married relations, our religion says that Kanya Vrasya Panchamyam, that means that groom and bride to 9 and 5 star was difference, no? But actually, star don't make the mess in a life.
Right.
That's the mess. Who makes the mess? That's the societies, and the commitment.
Right.
That's the make the mess. That's why it's
well, Andrea said something interesting too.
Right.
I'll just pass over the mic to Andrea.
I'm actually thinking that I think a lot of the things to do with the name might actually be to do with not so much the letters, but to do with the vibrational sound of how it comes out, because the vibrational sound has a huge impact on your life.
Again, I have to disagree with that lady. Is it Andrea?
Yes.
Andrea, I work with the legal name, not the spoken name. Right?
Okay.
I've seen increasingly more people on the spiritual path changing their name, and they're not changing it once, they're changing it 2 or 3 times.
I understand, and I do get a lot of people
who
tell me that they want to legally change to a spiritual name. And where I've done my calculations, I find that the name tends to be more negative than positive. Now, that's why I asked about the positive letters from the other gentlemen that were there that supposedly work with names. You see, I've got a lot of Asian clients who have a lot of the letter H's in their names. Now, the system that I use says that an H brings a person 8 years of stress and strain. It's a letter I try to avoid. And yet, people are being given Asian names that begin with an H, which gets a baby off to 8 years of stress and strain, or they have it in their teenage years when they've got examinations at school, or they have it at first in their 20s when they have difficulty in relationships. So it's a letter I avoid. And that's why I was interested just to see if they